There is a time I was trusting God for a lot of things. I had lots of plans, and I remember that I was staying somewhere renting, but then life all of a sudden turned out to be upside down. Yet, in that very moment, God had told me that, He's planning a lot of things for me. He had shown me everything that He was going to do for me in that period. And I was, because when God tells you something, there is a way you just imagine how things are going to be. Let's say if God tells you that you're going to become an influencer one day, or you're going to become a big person in this field, you start thinking, oh, okay, things are going to just work out like that. Like you never think of the process of how you're going to get there. I've been there. I've experienced a lot of things like that. But today I'm going to share with you only one story that happened to me in 2020. 2020, before okay, I think lockdown came in 2020, right? I know. So lockdown came in, and I was actually working somewhere, but I was planning to quit my job and find another job which was in my interest, right? Because I always love to work where I really enjoy things. Like I want to work in the fields of my interests. So as I'm believing God for this, things started work. Like lockdown came in, and things went haywire. So in lockdown, I asked God, and I was like, you know what, God, tell me, where am I going to find my next job? Because I don't want to go back to my previous job. And God made a way. He told me that my job was just nearby in the neighborhood, just nearby, you know. So I was like, now, nearby, how do I know exactly where? So he kept quiet. And guess what? In no time, things went haywire. I found myself now in another. It's like, yo, let's say God told me that my job is in the north. I found myself in the south. And I'm wondering, I'm like, God, have you just forgotten what you told me? But this is to show you that God is very, very intentional, and He's very strategic in ways where you feel like things are not working. You feel like, God, you told me this. Why is it that this is happening? He will use that very thing to connect you to what He promised you. So I'm in the south, and I'm wondering now, how am I going to handle this? How am I going to reach my job, the job that God promised me? And guess what? God was so kind. I know many months passed, and I'm not seeing nothing. I'm not seeing no cloud. So eventually, I get a call from a very random person that I didn't even know could help me in that situation. God can use anyone. So He used a person that was never in my head that God can use. So this person called me, and they were like, you know what? I have a job for you. At first I hesitated, and I was like, you know what? I'm like, because I know this person was my ex-boss. So she wasn't very nice and all that. So when she told me that she's going to recommend me to a certain job, I was like, you know what? Keep your job. But she was like, no, 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 hold on. She was like, yeah, I know. This person is very nice. This person I want to recommend you to is a very nice person. So I'm like, okay, all right. So I went and I met the person and I got the job. But guess where my job was? My job was exactly where God had told me the job will be. But remember, He promised me, let's say, months back, many months back, and the situation just turned around. Like things acted up, and I couldn't see how this was going to happen. But eventually, God made it happen. So I want to encourage you today that regardless of what you're going through today, I don't know. I might not know, but I know that God is faithful. I've seen Him do this in my life. I've seen Him being faithful, and I know that He's the same God that is going to make things work out for you. And eventually, things will happen. I know you're believing a lot of things. You're trusting God for a lot of things. You've been believing for a long time, and doesn't look like He's coming through. But guess what? Everything will make sense when that thing comes. You'll be like, whoa, I now see why God led me to wait all this time. God is faithful. He's not going to fail you. He didn't fail me. There are many things I'm still believing, but I know that if He did the previous thing, I have evidence, and I know that even the things that I'm trying to, I'm not trying, but I am believing him for, he's going to make them happen regardless of how long it takes, regardless of how the situation is. Guys, let's trust God. He's very faithful. He's not going to fail you. He's not going to lie. He's not a man that he should lie. And sometimes the enemy will send people who will talk you, who try to talk you out of the promise. They'll be like, how can that happen, because God promises us a lot of things. And even if God didn't promise you something, there are things you're praying for, and you know that you want God to give them to you, but you don't see any way around. You don't see any help coming. But God is faithful. In the right time, he will make things work out. And let me tell you, the Bible says that many are the plans of people, but only God's will is going to be done. So in your life, as you have a lot of plans, you have a lot of things. Sometimes we are praying to God about things, but we already know how we want Him to play it. Because it's like, let me say, I'm trusting God for some money. I want some money. I'm like, God, please give me some money. But in my head, I'm already thinking about the person I think God is going to use. Let's say my uncle. I might be like, I need money, Father, please give me money. But my heart already knows where the source is. But then with God, God can use anything. God can use anyway. And in most cases, when you show Him that you're trusting what you think, what you want, He'll prove you otherwise. He'll make sure that your uncle will not help you, and he'll use another source for you to believe that it's through him that he's your source. Yeah. So you can't really rely on people because whew, things be happening. Someone who used to help you might not be able to help you now, or something. People die. He can die. So after their death, or after them not being able to do what they used to do, where are you going to get your help from? Your help should come from God because He's the source of everything. He's the source of each and everything that you're trusting for, that you're believing for, that you want, that you're praying for. So I want to encourage you today that however much your life looks like it's going in a different direction than what you really thought or what you had planned, God is faithful. He can make all crooked paths straight, and He's going to come through for you. Don't give up. I'm a living testimony. I'm still believing God for a lot of things, but I've seen Him come through. So He's not going to fail you. I love you guys so much. If you don't have a personal relationship with God, start it today. He loves you, and I love you too. Peace. I'm out.